on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. Lugs, welcome in. How are you?
I'm good, man. Good Tuesday morning. Actually, I'm in Huntsville today, spoke in Anniston last night. So I'm making my way up to the Tennessee Valley, one of my favorite all-time places of any places I've ever lived.
Oh, so today is the day to go to the Legends and speak. Today to go to the Legends and speak.
Yeah.
Quarterback club up here. All right. So we understand that now. I thought it was the other way around. All right. So you're like the Grim Reaper now. All right. You used to be Hurricane Tom. Now you're Upset Tom. The Ohio State fans are not going to be happy to see you on their boundary after what you did to BYU and what you did to Iowa. And now you're going to show up there, Indiana fully capable of pulling one out of the rectum and getting that win, maybe.
Yeah, it's going to be crazy. I feel for Indiana. I mean, think about Indiana for a second. Their 4 losses are all to teams that are in the top 11 of the AP. All 4 of them. I mean, they have played a grueling schedule. They've got an injured quarterback. They turn the ball over. They're hanging on by a thread, but they're playing at home. It's going to be prime time in Bloomington. Right now, Ohio State is really hitting their stride. So I'm interested to see how Indiana responds, and then how does Ohio State prepare for Indiana, considering that Indiana's had some struggles recently.
Yeah, and Ohio State, everybody kind of stopped looking at them a little bit after the loss to Oregon. And now the way things have fallen out, we sit there and we say, hey, take a second look at Ohio State, because they're really in excellent position. If they can take care of business, in a brutal Big Ten East, they're right there. But like Alabama, they've got to run the table, right? I mean, there's no hope for them at 11-2. They got to be 12-1.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. And listen, you want to be peaking at the right time, maybe getting hot at the right time, and that's going to be the back half of the schedule for Ohio State. The problem is, as improved as they have been, and they have been, don't get me wrong, they're starting to come into their own. C.J. Stroud throwing 10 touchdowns, 0 interceptions in his last 2 games. But the bulk of their schedule, the difficulty of the Big Ten East Division is coming up. And it's going to be a wild latter part of October and November for Ohio State.
Now, you intimated that you thought Iowa was a bit of a pretender because they were a one-sided team and they didn't have enough offense and yada, yada, yada. And sure enough, that was proven to be the case. And I don't know where they go from here now, because you got a Big Ten West. They're still the big dog in the Big Ten West, right? I mean, they still have everything in front of them as if they can get to Indianapolis and upset Ohio State, then they're in the discussion again.
Yeah, they are, and I don't know if they should be. And last week with you, I was trying to be kind and diplomatic, but, I mean, that team offensively, you could see it in the first 6 weeks of the season. It just got masked and glossed over because they're averaging, 4+ turnovers and takeaways a game. And the moment that didn't happen, they were exposed. And so from here on out in the West, Nebraska can't seem to put it all together, yet they seem to be going down to the wire with teams. Purdue, what if they start getting hot? But then Purdue screwed up and lost the week before to Minnesota. Well, where is Minnesota now in all of this? So the Big Ten West is an absolute mess. I think Iowa is in a position defensively to always give them a chance. But let's just say that they're -1, -2 turnover in any type of game. They're not good enough on offense to overcome that. They're really not. And then with what happened the other night, I think it was, 4 turnovers, maybe 5 at the end of the game. I mean, they just had no chance.
Which one is the bigger contender? Which one's the pretender in the East, Michigan State or Michigan?
I probably would say Michigan right now is the bigger contender. And I say that over Michigan State because they have more explosiveness and more of a diverse offense. As good as Kenneth Walker has been, and as good as that defense has been for Michigan State, they're not overly dynamic offensively. What you see is what you get. But at the end of the day, and I truly believe this, if Penn State would have played Iowa 10 times, they would have won 8 out of 9. And I still think Penn State's a problem for that division. I really do, especially if Sean Clifford is healthy. So, to me, I still think we have to withhold judgment a little bit in regards to Michigan. Because under Jim Harbaugh, they have been woefully ill-prepared and woefully unproductive in meaningful games, particularly games against top 10 teams. His record is horrendous. So they got to prove to me they can win a big game. That's what Michigan has to prove to me.
Kind of in the position, I mean, you say Penn State could be a problem. They're in that same position right now in the 10, right, where a run-the-table type scenario puts them in the playoff, I would think.
Exactly. I mean, that's why everything's still up for grabs. Everything's still wide open. And the thing that's interesting in all of this is everybody wants to have the conversation about the SEC. Do we have the conversation about the Big Ten? Okay? And then what if, let's just say what if, we fast forward, Alabama and Georgia meet the SEC title game and Alabama wins it. All right? We have let's just say an undefeated Ohio State team versus a one-loss Iowa team in the Big Ten championship. Somehow Iowa wins. Is there space for Cincinnati?
It depends on what Oklahoma does. Because remember, that undefeated Ohio State team still has that loss to Oregon. Undefeated in the league, you mean?
Yeah, undefeated in the league, correct.
Yeah,
so,
undefeated
right.
in the league.
So
now Ohio State is out. Yeah,
and now you have to have the Big 12. So things aren't as clear-cut for Cincinnati as I think people are making them out to be. There's way too much football to be played.
If the committee, and you've been in that room, you know how they break it down. You've gone through the mock thing and everything else. Today, I mean, they're number 2 in all these polls. Today, if the committee was announcing their top 4, would they have Cincinnati in there?
By default, probably so. If you polled them all privately and said, do you think Cincinnati is better than Oklahoma, Georgia, Alabama, and Ohio State? I bet every one of them to a person would likely say no.
Well,
and I may be wrong in that regard, but unfortunately, the current set of circumstances that we're in, Cincinnati is where they are at by default.
Yeah, in the polls, but I didn't think that the committee would necessarily be held to that. I think they got a lot of work to do.
They may not be.
Yeah.
You're right. They may not be. And I think, again, the committee does value week-to-week improvement. And what you've done early, all right, and Ohio State's already done this with the Virginia Tech loss in 2014, and the committee put him in there over, it was either TCU or Baylor that year, and they end up winning the national championship on their third-string quarterback. So what Ohio State did versus Oregon will mean absolutely nothing if they run the table and the committee is comparing an undefeated Cincinnati to an Ohio State, given the difference in schedule.
All right, so that brings me to Oklahoma with Caleb Williams. I mean, incredible fall from grace for Spencer Rattler. Not because he did something bad or was it, he just didn't play well. And this Caleb Williams team, all of a sudden, Oklahoma looks like a different animal. They still have to run the table, right? They have to beat Texas again or whoever it is. That it might be Oklahoma State. They have to play them back-to-back or something. Who knows who they're going to have to beat because Texas is now 2-2 in the league. Oklahoma State is unbeaten. Baylor is 3-1, so there's still some work to do there. But talk to me about Caleb Williams and how that could change the perception of Oklahoma.
So first off, he's the next version of Matt Corral. That's who he is. That's how dynamic he is. That's how difficult he is to defend. The biggest thing to help aid Oklahoma is he provided a spark in the run game because Oklahoma, like many other teams in college football, is not as good as you'd expect them to be in the offensive line. They're just not. So they haven't been able to run the football. But the problem was they never had a quarterback running threat that would force defenses to have to add an extra guy in the box. Spencer Rattler couldn't provide that. Caleb Williams can. And so now all of a sudden, defending them, you have to go in with an entirely different approach because of the quarterback's leg. And that changed everything. It enhanced their offensive line. And now all of a sudden, the defense that kind of started out a little shaky despite having almost everybody back from a year ago seems to be kind of hitting their stride a little bit. So, again, peaking, getting hot at the right time. And it's making it amazing what the quarterback position can do if you get it right.
Tom Luginbill with us, talking a little college football here as he's on his way to Huntsville to speak to the Huntsville quarterback club. So you guys are going to get a treat with that with Tommy. Now, you're right. You're not going to X and O these people to death, right? You're telling stories from the sideline, doing that kind of stuff, right?
I X and O, tell stories from the sideline. We do recruiting, do a little comedy hour, go and do some jokes. I've done this club times. We always seem to have some good laughs and have fun, and so it's a little bit of everything for me.
Yeah. Make sure you tell them that they can hear you every Monday on the Thom Abraham Show in Huntsville. You know what I mean?
That's exactly right. They can.
Yeah. You got to tell them that. Tomorrow night you got a game. You get to see Coastal Carolina up close and personal at Appy State. We know what Appy State is capable of doing. I mean, this Coastal Carolina number 14. I mean, come on. Are we serious with this? I mean, come on. Get out of here with this. And you got that idiot R.J. Young at Fox. I mean, are you kidding me with the poll that he puts out? He's got Coastal Carolina like number 4 in the country, number 5, something like that. Just ridiculous.
Clickbait. I mean, that's all he's trying to do is draw attention to himself. I mean, give me a break. I have all the respect in the world for Jamie Cadwell, what he's done, what this program has become, how they've done it. It hasn't been easy. I don't know how much you've watched them. In my opinion, they are going to be the most copied, studied, and duplicated offense in all of college football over the next 2 to 3 years. It's fascinating to watch them operate, almost impossible to prepare for. And listen, they've done a great job. They've got a really, really good football team. And App State, I was supposed to have them last year in the Sun Belt Conference Championship between Coastal and Louisiana. And the night before the game, we're having meetings with Louisiana's coaching staff in their hotel, and Coastal calls the game because of COVID. So the game never happened. And so now getting a chance to see them travel up to Boone, which is an extremely difficult place to play, maybe the worst place to play in the Sun Belt Conference, and see if App State can respond. I think it should be a heck of a football game.
Yeah, it could be a really, really good football game. All right, to the Ed Orgeron story, if you're LSU and you know that this guy, he's like a roach, you know, when it gets to a situation down the stretch, whether he's an interim like he was at USC and at LSU, now he's in a similar situation that the kids kind of rally around him and everything else. Why do you keep this guy around? Why do you risk him going like 4-1 down the stretch and ending up 8-4? Don't you look like an idiot if you hire a guy that won 9 games, 10 games, 15 games, and then, you know, forget last year was a complete debacle, and then comes back and goes 8-4 this year? If that happens, don't you look like an idiot if he knocks off Arkansas and A&M at home, which who knows they could do at the end of the season? And forget the Alabama game. Why would you keep him around?
I do not know, unless they were convinced that they didn't have a better option to just get them through the season. And there's enough experience on that staff where I would venture a guess that they do have enough experience to do that. I agree with you, Tom. I think it's a fascinating move. And if you're going to do that, if you already had the feel that you were going to do it, just do it at the end.
Right.
Because you can't go hire anybody else right now anyway. Now, you might get your search committee put together a little quicker and this and that, but you're not solving the problem. And so it will be interesting to see how this thing plays out. And it's unfortunate. Listen, I think at the end of the day, Coach Orgeron is a dynamic recruiter and one of the best position coaches in his respective craft in college football. But I think that's his ceiling. And now that we've been through a couple of iterations of this, that's probably where the rest of his career is going to go.
But the numbers wouldn't support it if he goes and beats Ole Miss. You know, after he has his interview, by the way, with Lane Kiffin. You know, they can have that interview probably an hour before the game with Lane Kiffin. He'll be the defensive line coach at Ole Miss next year. He'll be able to go back and find that chicken on a stick, and he'll be recruiting for Lane, right? I mean, unless there's something really bad. This is what I don't understand about it. The numbers wouldn't support it if he were to go 8-4. That's why I say you wait to the end of the year if you're going to have him coach. They'll tear that stadium down. That Texas A&M game, you think it was bad at Tennessee, they'll tear that stadium down if they're firing the kid from Lafourche, Louisiana, Bayou Lafourche, and they're firing him at 8-4, you know, after he won a national championship 2 years ago.
Yeah, but you know as well as I do, 8-4 is not cutting it there, no matter how you get there, no matter if it's sentimental and emotional at the end and he ended up getting the team to rally around him. 8-4 is not cutting it there. And I think we all realized as well, they hit lightning in a bottle in 2019. And I can say, because I was in the room the year before, there was no coach on that coaching staff. At the time, it was Steve Ensminger that was singing Joe Burrow's praises. They didn't know what they had.
Yeah.
He was an above-average player in 2018 on a decent team that wasn't a great team. Then next thing you know, they go into that 2019 season, and all of the stars align, and poof. And don't kid yourself, they didn't know that was going to happen. It was just one of those. And Tom, you've been a part of it as a player or a coach. I have been too. You have one of those years, you get the right mix of people, the right things go your way, and you got great talent on top of it. You stay healthy, you don't commit penalties, and voila, you've got this magical year. And that's what happened to him.
Jimbo Fisher says he's got a ranch in College Station. He hunts there. He loves it. He's got everything else. I don't know that LSU's a better job than Texas A&M. I believe him that he's not interested. Dabo Sweeney says thanks, but no thanks. I'm not interested. James Franklin's got his dream job. Would James Franklin leave Penn State? He's a Western PA kid. Would he leave Penn State for LSU? I know him a little bit. I don't know that he would come down there and beat his head against the wall there. He's got bad enough in the Big Ten, East.
I think he would, hands down. I think he'd jump at the opportunity because of the proximity to players. You got to understand that where he's located does not help in recruiting. No. It's hard to get there. It's hard to get kids in and out of there. You have to go above and around your borders to get access to some of the top players if you want to compete for a Big Ten championship. You don't have to do that at LSU. And you got no other in-state Power 5 competitor. I'll tell you the guy that they should be talking to is Mark Stoops.
Mark Stoops, is it? Not Bob Stoops, Mark Stoops.
Bob Stoops. Mark Stoops.
Mark Stoops is
but
a possibility.
He may not be willing to do it either.
Is Billy Napier ready yet? Is that a big enough name to pull him out of Louisiana?
I don't think if you're LSU, I'm not saying that you got to win the press conference, and I'm not saying that you got to make a splash hire. I don't think LSU at this juncture can afford to go the group of 5 route. I just don't know if your power brokers and your folks are going to buy into that. You're going to have to get, I think, a bona fide, proven Power 5 commodity that has coached or developed a team to a championship level caliber or a proven caliber, maybe at a place where it hasn't been done before. That's why I bring up Mark Stoops. I think he would be of particular intrigue. But I think the James Franklin one does make sense. I really do.
Really? Is it a better job than the USC job?
Right now it is, but if you got the right recruiter at USC and you take the state of California back, then the SEC job's a better job because it's an easier path to the conference championship and college football playoff.
Joe Brady says he wants to stay in the NFL. I don't think that Dave Aranda's done enough yet at Baylor, but of course he has that tie to the championship team. The intriguing name is Mel Tucker. His experience with Alabama and Georgia, the two big dogs in the SEC. It looks like he's got this Michigan State thing going in the right direction. I mean, if they go 10-2, 11-1, something like that, beat Michigan at home, do something crazy like that, is Mel Tucker in the mix? Because they could love him down there.
I can't imagine why he wouldn't be. Can you imagine leaving 2 jobs in 3 years?
Yeah. In this day and age, yes. In this day and age, yes.
Good point. Yeah, good point. But I believe that he's another guy. I don't know if there's, the Lincoln Rileys, the Nick Sabans, the Jimbos, some of these guys aren't going to be in the mix on something like that. But I got to imagine there's a lot of really good football coaches that have won a lot of football games that are out there that are going to be attracted to the job.
Is Hugh Freeze one of them?
Has he paid his penance long enough? Because it just seems to me like, almost, spanking him on the hand all the time and getting after him a little bit, fair or unfair. And I feel like that's kind of like the public perception. But he also hasn't had quite the year that I think people were thinking he was going to.
He
lost to Syracuse.
Yeah. He can get in all kinds of trouble down there. I mean, he would be able to, that would be best stay right where he is, where they can keep a close eye on him. You know what I mean? He go down there, who know? You know, his Rolodex would be expanding like crazy. I mean, who knows whose number he'd have in his phone if he went down there. All right, listen.
Matt Campbell?
Matt Campbell is an interesting name. Does he have any Southern ties?
No, and again, and that's why I don't think it makes sense for him at USC either, although they do recruit California and Arizona pretty steadily. But I think when you're talking about good football coaches that know how to build a program, and you're LSU, you've got to at least make the phone call to a Mark Stoops or a Matt Campbell. I don't know why you wouldn't.
Well, then you got to call. If that's the case, you got to call Luke Fickell, who's just all Ohio all the time. But
right.
If that's the case, you got if your theory is correct, then you got to call. You got to make a phone call to that guy.
Yeah, I know you do, but then you have the group of five element you got to deal with too.
Well, he's number 2 in the nation, so they say. So I mean, you can say group of 5, but that's kind of like group 5.5. That's power 5.5 football there. I think is what that is.
Power 5.5.
Power 5.5. All right, enjoy the ledges. It's absolutely beautiful up there, and in the Huntsville Quarterback Club. I'm sure there won't be any conversation about the Alabama-Tennessee game. No, because that's not really, I guess, a thing anymore.
No conversation about debris.
No debris. No, are they bringing their debris with them? You know, well, the Tennessee fans actually Tennessee sent back like 10,000 tickets to Alabama. Said, "Here, we can't use these. Go ahead and sell them if you want." They sent back a bunch of tickets on that deal, but we'll see. We'll see. You know, I mean, hey, it was before the iPhone. It was the funny line today has been no one has ever tweeted out about Tennessee beating Alabama. No one's ever sent that tweet because there was no Twitter. The last. No one's ever sent a tweet about Tennessee beating Alabama.
Good point. Yeah. And Howard.
All right, man. Be safe. I appreciate you.
All
right, thanks.
Take care.
Quarterback Club. Drew's probably in the Quarterback Club, isn't he? Don't you think Drew's in the Huntsville Quarterback Club? Is Drew like the president of the Huntsville Quarterback Club? I don't know.
I don't know. He's not here to ask him.
Yeah. I don't know. All right, let's get a break. We'll come back and wrap it up next right here on the Thom Abraham Show. 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
You're listening to the Thom Abraham Show on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
At Mr. Sparky, we're America's on-time electrician. Protecting your family is a priority. Smoke and carbon monoxide detectors are 2 of the best life-saving investments for the safety of your home and your family. But they do actually expire. The expert electricians at Mr. Sparky will test and advise or install the best unit for your home. We'll get it done right and get it done safely.
You don't have to put up with any malarkey. Call 888-8-Sparky.
Independently owned and operated. Licensed in the respective state or county.
Are you in the market for a recreational vehicle? Do you want to get out and see more of this beautiful country? Well, imagine hearing the laughter of your little ones enjoying gooey s'mores by a cozy campfire and making lasting memories with your friends and family from the comfort of a new camper. We can make your dreams come true at Hall's RV. With over 15 years in the camping business, we know how to get our customers into the perfect camper. We have several models and floor plans here for you to choose from, both new and used. We're family owned and operated with fantastic deals and great service. Everyone wants to work with people they can trust, so come on down to Hall's RV and get the deal of a lifetime. We'll treat you right and get you on the road in the camper of your dreams. Visit us on Highway 431 in Albertville. Hall's RVs, where we sell fun. Or see us on the web at www.hallsrvsales.com.
You've got to experience Toyotathon at Bill Penny Toyota. They've got the selection with over 700 new Toyotas to choose from. And they've got the extras with Bill Penny perks and a 10-year unlimited warranty. So get on over to Bill Penny Toyota today and experience Toyotathon. Bill Penny Toyota in Huntsville and online at BillPennyToyota.com. Bill Penny's Toyota 10-year unlimited warranty is valid through the 10th year of ownership. Valid on new vehicles only. See dealer for details.
What can you expect when you shop for a firearm at Bullet & Barrel? Expect great prices. We specialize in quality over quantity. Expect great service. Our professional sales staff is never pushy. We won't talk you into something that doesn't fit your needs. You have the right to make a smart, informed decision. Expect Bullet & Barrel, Alabama's only 5-star indoor shooting range, to support you after the sale. Bullet & Barrel, 3252 Lehman Ferry Road. Like or follow us on Facebook. Come see us soon.
Have you ever found exactly the right new car or truck with the exact features that you want and nothing else? Well, at Woody Anderson Ford, we can promise you just that. Hey, Bobby White back again, and you can now factory order your new Ford today, and you'll get your new car or truck exactly the way you want it. And there's no extra cost to custom order. Plus, you get $1,000 off MSRP on top of any additional factory rebates. This applies to 2021 F-150, Explorer, Ranger, and Expedition. It's a win-win with a custom order at Woody Anderson Ford. You get the colors, the features, and the options that fit your life. Plus, you get notified when it's built, shipped, and ready to deliver. Listen, buying a new car or truck is likely the second largest investment you'll ever make. So why settle? Get exactly what you want with a custom factory order today. And get $1,000 off MSRP. See how at WoodyAndersonFord.com or at the corner of Jordan Lane and Sparkman Drive. Hope to see you soon.
People stay just a little bit longer. We want to play just a little bit longer. The promoter don't mind, and the union don't mind. If we take a little time and we leave it all behind, say,
Baker Mayfield is either out for the season or he'll play this week. Basically what we have. That is what we're sitting on right now. A headline at ESPN is Cleveland Browns believe quarterback Baker Mayfield's shoulder injury not season-ending, according to a source. Or he might play Thursday night. Right now he says he's still playing Thursday night. Do I got to get a doc from TOC? This segment of the show brought to you by TOC Sports. Do I need to get a TOC doc? Tommy, are you listening? Maybe I need a TOC doc to talk about whatever this shoulder injury is that Baker Mayfield has. Mayfield waiting on a second opinion from his doctor. The doctor is reviewing the MRI scans later Tuesday. Think about the money that is involved in this deal. I mean, this is Baker Mayfield's contract year, right? They need to decide. I think they've already picked him up for the fifth-year option, which would be next year. But then he plays as a lame duck. This is when they were supposed to sometime this year extend that guy. Nick Chubb might not play. Kareem Hunt's out for 3 weeks. Odell Beckham Jr. Can't win with him. Who knows when Jarvis Landry's coming back? The two tackles are gone for who knows how long. I mean, it's J.O.K., the kid out of Notre Dame, the linebacker. He's gone for 3 weeks at least on the IR. Defensive Rookie of the Year candidate. It's crazy. All right, that does it for us. Coming up next, Chuck Oliver is in. Then Paul Feinbaum till 4. And then Game 3, Braves, Dodgers. Go Braves! This is 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.